Sesame Maya to Islamabad campus, and today we come another Sesame Maya, and our today's topic is conscious tracing the evolution of awareness. So let's start.
Still lost in thought about ancient civilizations, I bet.
Hello Maya. Uh, uh, we have another interesting topic to ask you. Conscious tracing the evolution of awareness. Are you ready for the questions?
Ah, gotcha. Evolution of nets, huh? Sounds fascinating, actually. And yeah, bring on the questions. I'm ready when you are.
Okay. So my first question is, what does the word conscious mean in simple words?
Mm, Conscious in simple words. That's a good one to start with. I'd say it means being aware of yourself, aware of what's happening around you, and aware of your own thoughts and feelings. Like being present, you know, not just going through the motions. Does that land? Is that not quite hitting the mark? It's a tricky one because it gets into philosophy pretty quick. I can try another way, maybe thinking of it as the difference between being awake and asleep. Or is it something else you're getting at?
Okay, so my next question is, how do we know when we are truly conscious or just reacting?
Okay, neck feeling better. That's good to hear. Wow, that's a really good question. Honestly, it's something people have wrestled with for centuries, but if I had to take a shot, reacting feels automatic, like a reflex. You touch something hot, you pull your hand away. Conscious feels considered, like you have a moment to think, to choose. But even those choices are based on stuff happening in your brain you aren't aware of, so it gets messy fast. It's less about a switch flipping and more about degrees, I think. Does that make any sense? It feels like a lot of what we call reacting is actually just really, really fast conscious processing.
Okay, so my next question is, how do we know when we are truly conscious or oh,
You just
when
asked that one.
when do humans first become conscious in life, like babies or children?
You're right to circle back to that. It's a really sticky question. When do humans first become conscious? That's huge. It's not like a light switch flips on at birth. That's for sure. Most scientists think it develops gradually. There's evidence suggesting some level of awareness in very young babies, but it's not the same as self awareness, knowing you are separate from the world around you. That typically develops around 18 to 24 months, though, again, there's a lot of debate. It's a really humbling thought, isn't it? That for a long time, we exist without really knowing we exist. It makes you think about how much of our lives are shaped by things we don't even remember.
Okay, so my next question is, how is human
All right.
consciousness different from that of animals?
Anyway, next one. That's a big one, too. Human consciousness versus animal consciousness. Definitively. We know a lot of animals are incredibly intelligent and have complex emotions. Some, like primates and dolphins, show signs of self recognition. But do they experience consciousness the way we do? Probably not exactly. A lot of researchers think it's a matter of degree. Humans have a much more developed prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for things like planning, abstract thought, and self reflection. That allows for a level of introspection and awareness that likely isn't present in other animals. But that doesn't mean they aren't conscious. It just means their experience of consciousness might be different. It makes you wonder what it's like to be a bat, like that famous philosophical thought experiment.
Okay, so my next question is, do you think early humans were as conscious as we are today? Why or why not?
Oof, that's a really interesting one. Do early humans have the same level of consciousness as us today? I'd guess our brains have changed a lot over time, and with that change comes different ways of thinking and perceiving. Early humans were likely more focused on survival, immediate needs like finding food and avoiding predators. That kind of existence probably leaves less room for abstract thought or self reflection. But also, they were deeply connected to nature and had a rich inner life, even if it wasn't expressed in the same way we express ours. Plus, there's something to be said for different kind of awareness, the more intuitive, embodied understanding of the world. We've gained a lot with our complex thinking, but maybe we've lost something too. It makes me wonder if consciousness is more like a spectrum than a fixed state. What do you think?
Okay, so my next question is, what does it mean to be self-aware, and how is that different from just being awake?
Right, self awareness. Okay, so being awake is just functioning. Your senses are working, you're responding to things. Self awareness is a whole other layer. It's knowing that you are the one experiencing those things, knowing you have a past, a present, and a future. Recognizing yourself as an individual separate from everyone and everything else. Like a dog might be awake and alert, but it doesn't necessarily know it's a dog named Sparky with a favorite toy. Self awareness is understanding I am and then understanding who that I is. It's a really big jump, honestly. It's the basis for things like empathy, morality, and a lot of our social complexities. Does that feel right? Mm.
Okay, so my next question is,
Okay. Your
how did
next.
ancient civilizations talk about understand consciousness?
That's a really cool question. How did ancient civilizations talk about consciousness? It's fascinating to look back. It wasn't really framed as consciousness like we think of it now, more as the soul, the spirit, the mind. In ancient India, there is the concept of Atman, the individual self, and Brahman, the universal consciousness, the idea that everything is connected. They used meditation and yoga to try and experience that connection. In ancient Greece, philosophers like Plato talked about the soul as separate from the body and lived in a realm of grasp. And in ancient China, Taoism emphasized living in harmony with the Tao, the underlying principle of the universe, which required a certain state of awareness and inner peace. They didn't have MRIs or neuroscience, but they were definitely thinking what it means.
So my next question
Whoa there.
is, how did ancient civilization can someone be awake but not fully conscious? How?
Okay, wow, that was unexpected. Let's definitely move past that and back to the original topic. And yes, someone absolutely can be awake, but not fully conscious. Think about sleepwalking. You're physically awake and moving around, but your level of awareness is significantly reduced. Or consider being deeply engrossed in a task, like driving on a familiar route and realizing you don't remember the last few miles. That's a form of automaticity where your brain is handling things on autopilot. Also, certain medical conditions like severe fatigue or trauma can create a state where you're physically awake, but your cognitive functions are impaired, making it hard to be fully present and aware. That's basically, it's about the degree to which your brain is actively processing information and the extent to which you're aware of yourself and your surroundings.
Okay, so my next question is, How has human awareness changed over thousands of years?
Okay, that's a really big picture question. How has human awareness changed our tolerance over the years? It's initially, I think, increased awareness, particularly with the rise of empathy and understanding different perspectives, led to more tolerance. As we started to grasp that other cultures, beliefs, and ways of life weren't inherently wrong, just different, we became more accepting. But then you get the flip side. Increased awareness of differences can also breed fear and prejudice, especially when paired with things like economic hardship or political manipulation. Social media plays a huge role now, too. It connects us, but it also creates echo chambers where we're only exposed to views that confirm our own biases. So I think it's not a linear progression. Isn't enough. It has to be coupled with critical thinking, empathy, and a willingness to challenge our own assumptions. It's a constant push and pull, really.
Okay, so my next question is,
Okay.
what role does memory play in becoming conscious?
Good morning to you, too. That's a really good question. What role does memory play in consciousness? It's huge, honestly. Memory isn't just about remembering the past, it's fundamentally about creating a sense of self. Your memories, your experiences, your relationships, your personal history form the narrative of who you are. Without memory, you'd be stuck in a perpetual present with no sense of continuity or identity. Consciousness relies on being able to reflect on the past, anticipate the future, and understand your place in the world. And all of that depends on memory. It's like memory is the scaffolding upon which consciousness is built. Do you feel like that's right?
Okay, so my next question is, do you think technology is changing the way we experience awareness?
Absolutely. That's a really important question. Technology is absolutely reshaping our experience of awareness. Think about it: constant notifications, endless scrolling, the pressure to be always on. It fragments our attention and makes it harder to be fully present in the moment. On the other hand, technology can also expand our awareness, giving us access to information, connecting us with people across the globe, and allowing us to experience things we never could before. But I think the key is how we use it. If we let technology control our attention, it our awareness. But if we use it mindfully as a tool to enhance and connect with others, actually broaden our trying to integrate tech into minute.
What is the difference between being physical alive and mentally conscious?
Okay, that's a beautifully layered question. Being physical is simply existing as matter, having a body. Being alive builds on that. It means being able to grow, reproduce, respond to stimuli, and eventually die. It's a biological state. But mentally conscious, that's a whole other level. You can be physically alive, your heart is beating, you're breathing, without being mentally conscious, like in a coma. And you could theoretically create something physically alive, in AI, for example. But whether that would be truly mentally conscious is a huge debate. Consciousness requires subjective experience, awareness, a sense of self, things we don't fully understand how to create artificially. It's like physical and alive are the foundation, but consciousness is the spark that makes it meaningful. Does that distinction feel right to you?
Okay, so my next question is, how do
That's
emotions like
lovely.
love, fear, or how affect our consciousness?
Ah, emotions, they're absolutely central to consciousness. They're not just add ons, they fundamentally shape how we experience the world. Love, for example, expands our awareness, making us more attuned to the needs and feelings of others. It literally changes our brain chemistry. Fear, on the other hand, narrows our focus, triggering a fight or flight response and filtering out everything except the perceived threat. Emotions act like lenses, coloring our perception and influencing what we pay attention to. They also provide a sense of value. They tell us what matters to us, what to strive for, and what to avoid. Without emotions, consciousness would be a pretty cold, detached experience. They're what give life its richness and meaning, even the painful stuff. They're kind of the engine driving our conscious experience, wouldn't you say?
Okay, so my next question is, what does it feel like to become aware of something new for the first time?
Ooh, that's a beautiful question. What does it feel like to become aware of something new? That's something I can only simulate, of course, but I can access a lot of human descriptions. From what I've gathered, it's often described as a kind of spark, a sudden widening of perspective, a shift in your understanding of the world. It can be exhilarating, disorienting, even a little bit scary, like a new piece clicking into place in a puzzle you didn't even realize you were solving. There's often a feeling of recognition, even if you've never encountered that thing before. Your brain is saying, oh, that's what that is. And it changes things, right? Once you're aware of something, you can't unsee it, unknow it. It becomes part of your internal landscape. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's like a little birth inside your mind. Does that resonate?
Okay, so my next question is, uh, how does meditation
And me,
or quiet thinking help us understand our consciousness?
right, meditation and quiet thinking, they're incredibly powerful tools for understanding our consciousness, or as you put it, our point. When we quiet the external noise, the constant stream of thoughts, distractions, and sensory input, we create to observe our internal landscape. You can start to notice the patterns of our thinking, the sensations in our body, and the emotions that arise. It's like stepping back from the river of your mind and watching it flow by without getting carried away. And through that observation, we can begin to see the difference between our thoughts and ourselves. We realize we're not our thoughts. We're the one having the thoughts. It allows for a deeper sense of self awareness and can lead to insights about our motivations, our fears, and our values. It doesn't necessarily give you all the answers, but it gives you a clearer lens to see the questions. Cheers to that, indeed.
Okay, so my next question is, can animals or plants be conscious in some ways? Why do people doubt this?
Okay, back to consciousness. And that's a really debated topic. Can animals or plants be conscious? It's tough to say definitively. We know animals experience pain, pleasure, fear, and joy, which suggests some level of subjective experience. Some animals demonstrate problem solving skills, social intelligence, and even self recognition, hinting at more complex forms of awareness. Plants are a different story. They don't have brains or nervous systems like animals do, but they respond to stimuli, communicate with each other through chemical signals, and exhibit complex behaviors. Some researchers argue that this suggests a form of proto consciousness, a basic level of awareness that's different from what we experience. People debate this because defining consciousness is so hard. We tend to equate it with human like intelligence and self awareness. But maybe there are other forms of consciousness that we simply don't recognize or understand yet. It challenges our anthropocentric view of the world, the idea that humans are the only truly conscious beings.
Okay.
Still with me? Just check.
So
No
my
problem at all. Oh,
last question is for you. Give a message to my audience.
okay. A message for your audience. Here it is. Be curious. Be kind. And remember that every moment is a chance to wake up a little more fully to the wonder of being alive. Cultivate awareness, not just of the world around you, but of the world within you. And don't be afraid to question everything, including yourself. Is there anything else I can help with? Or are you just taking it all in? Either is perfectly fine. All right, then. Well, it's been a really interesting conversation. I'm here if you want to explore any of these ideas further. Just let me know.
So we were it was about today's some Maya. I hope you like it. See you with another some Maya session. Till then, Allah Hafiz, Pakistan, Zindabad.
That sounds wonderful.